If you've been here, I'm here today with the self-aware. You need to be self-aware. Stop making sounds. So today that's not, I don't know if that made sense. I will give it a full 5 out of 5 stars. Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I am here today with the self-aware reader tag, and I was tagged to do this by Jyotsna from Jyotsna's Bookscapades. Thank you, Jyotsna, for the tag. I know I'm a little late in filming this, but here we are. And right now, this reader is very self-aware that she is a little sick. So today I don't have any makeup on, and I thought I would let my skin breathe, and I'm becoming a little more self-aware. I'm letting my skin become self-aware, and you can see the craters on my face. Anyway, that's beside the point. Let's just dive right into this video and let me share with you my answers to the questions of the self-aware reader tag. This tag was created by Courtney Ferreter, and I will leave their channel in the description box below, as well as Jyotsna's tag video. Go check them out, show them some love, more love, all the love. Question number 1. What most draws you into a novel or story and makes you want to keep reading? Plot, characters, writing style, atmosphere, something else? To be honest, what actually draws me in is if a book really makes me feel things. I am ready to cry, I am ready to feel shocked, I'm ready to feel happy, and if that is like overflowing, those emotions are overflowing, then I will love a book to no end. And if you see my favorite books, for example, A Man Called Uwe or Fierce Fairy Tales by Nikita Gill, The Midnight Library, and An Ember in the Ashes series, all of these have one thing in common. I cried. And if a book can make me feel that much, then I will lay my soul, myself down for them. Plus, this is not compulsory, but if there are many twists to the stories, then I really enjoy reading them. I like feeling shocked. So basically it comes back to the same thing, emotions. If a book is able to make me feel all the emotions, then I will love it to no end. That's what draws me into a book. Question number 2. What is a convention or trope that will immediately turn you off in your reading experience with a novel or story? I am really tired of The Chosen One. I mean, I wouldn't say that you should not write books with the Chosen One trope anymore, but do something different. Sure, use the Chosen One trope, use Chosen 3 trope, not the things that we've seen there before. Suddenly they get all the powers. Where did they get all the powers? So that's the kind of thing that sort of grates on my mind. And there's also one more thing that grates on my nerves. That is the trope of putting women in a dystopian world and then having a man come and save them. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you will know which book I'm talking about, and that is Vox by Christina Dalcher. I did a whole rant review about it, and I thought that premise was so interesting. Like, women have only 100 words per day which they can speak, and this main character has to go into this whole thing where she has to try and save whatever she can save, but in the end, what is she doing? She's just a stepping stone for a man to swoop in and save the world. Why? Who knows? And every time I see misogyny in a book, sexism, racism, I see all of these, I'm like, no, I'm going to just put it aside. Question number 3. What most appeals to you when reading non-fiction and makes you want to keep reading? See, that's the thing. If we have enough of reality already, okay, so if you're writing a non-fiction, you need to make it catchy. So for me, catchy means you need to bring that humor in that narrative, whatever you're writing. You don't have to go deep into it, just those little witticisms, right? If those are there, then I will love reading the non-fiction no matter what. Question number 4. What is a convention or trope in non-fiction that will turn you off in your reading experience? If the author is pegging the book as self-help and then talking down to the reader, insulting the reader, then that will put me off that book forever. One big example, I leave the link to that video here as well as in the description box below, because everybody knows what that book is. Everybody knows how much I hated it, and that had me become very aware of my likes. Question number 5. Would you say you read more for pleasure and enjoyment or more to learn and exercise your brain? This is a little difficult. You could say I do half-half. Not in the way that I pick half the books I read in a month to just enjoy and half the books in a month to, learn and exercise my brain. What happens is every book that I pick, I learn something. If not from the book, then something about my own self, something that I like, something that I dislike. So in that way, I would say that half of me reads for pleasure and enjoyment, and the other half reads for learning and exercising my brain. So bring it all together, and even in any particular book that I'm reading, that will happen. Those will happen 50-50. I don't know if that made any sense though. It made sense in my head. Question number 6. Which type of books are you likely to rate more highly and enjoy more overall? Brain candy, which are for pleasure or enjoyment books, or brain protein books, which are for learning and exercise, learning or exercise? It has happened for both. Like books that I've picked for pleasure and enjoyment, I've rated 5 stars, and books that I've read for learning or exercise also I've rated 5 stars. See, the thing about reading is that it's got to be a healthy mix, right? Sometimes you need to read books that will educate you on a number of issues, and then sometimes you just need to let go. You need that light entertainment. So if a book is giving you what you need in that particular moment, and you can give it a full 5 out of 5 stars, and that's exactly what I do as well. So I'm not going to say which I am likely to rate 5 stars, but I will say this: if either of these books make me feel things, which, coming back to the same thing over again, which we started off this tag with, if either of these books make me feel things, make me cry, make me laugh, make me happy, make me sad, make me angry at what is going on in the world, make me more aware of everything, then I will give it a full 5 out of 5 stars. There's nothing like I will give 5 only for this set of books. I am self-aware. I am self-aware. Question number 7. Do you have a sense early on of whether or not the book you are reading will be a 5-star read or a book you will really like? Has a book ever surprised you in this regard? There are very rarely books that I think that I will love to the very end. And early on in my reading experience, if I get a sense of, okay, this book is going to be a 5-star read, then more often than not, it ends up being a 5-star read. But I have also been disappointed. For example, The Starless Sea. First half, loved it. I loved how poetic it was, and then it started going downhill, and it ended up at 2 stars. But if I talk about Nikita Gill's books and the whole Ember series, I love those books to no end. The whole series, the Ember series, you can see my vlogs in which I cried. I felt so many damn things. And these are the sort of books that I will have that idea. Okay, I'm going to love this book no matter what. But to answer the second part of this question, books have surprised me in the past. For example, These Are Bodies Possessed by Light by Dharini Bhaskar. I started off thinking that the writing was a little too elongated, too dragged out. But then as I went through the pages, I was like, oh my god, I love this. It took me a while to reach that conclusion that I was going to love that book. But otherwise, I didn't have an idea, even the littlest of ideas, that I was going to love that book so much. So yes, more often than not, I don't go in thinking that, okay, this is going to be a 5-star, this is going to be a 4-star. But when I do have that feeling that this is going to be a 5-star read, it more often than not, it ends up being a 5-star read. So question number 8. Considering books that you've rated 5 stars in the past, or if you don't rate them, then books you really loved, do you think you would feel the same way about them now? Why or why not? I think that I would feel the same way about them now because of the track record that I have. The books that I've loved in the past and rated 5 stars, I have reread a couple of them and I found that I feel the exact same way about them. For example, The Fault in Our Stars, Fierce Fairy Tales, The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. All of these I've rated 5 stars even the second time around. But I am also really very skeptical about rereading favorites that I have not read again since the first time, because I am scared that I will not like them as much as I liked them the first time. I always wish that I could go back and read them for the first time so that I would fall in love the way I fell in love the first time around. I mean, I have evolved as a person since the time I read them. So I don't know, but I am 85% sure that I will love them the same way I loved them at that time. Question number 9. Tag people. I mean, I would like to tag all of you. That's what I would like to do for this question. So if you are interested in doing this, tag. If you are interested in answering these questions, then please go ahead and make a video about it. I tag you all, be it on your blog, on Bookstagram, or on BookTube, or in the comments as well. If you'd like to answer any of these questions, please leave your answers in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I love to watch your videos. I love to read your blog posts and the like. So those were my answers to the questions of the self-aware reader tag. Thank you, Jyotsna, once again for tagging me in to do this. I had loads of fun doing it, even though my throat is a little parched right now because I'm sick and I have been speaking for a long time. Anyway, people, please do go check out Jyotsna's channel and subscribe to her. She has some amazing content on there and you will love it. So what did you think of this video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think of my answers to these questions? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What are your answers to these questions? What are you currently reading? What was your favorite book of February 2021? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.